general managers, this is a big deal. It's the fastest growing industry in college football. And to give you a bit of an idea, they just had a meeting out in Indianapolis at the convention center because they had so many people there. And they had 300 attendees. They had 15 GMs. They had player personnel folks from all over the place, recruiting staffs from at least 30 some odd programs. It gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going on in college football, how it really is turning into pro football, because not only do you have to deal with the NIL and all the money and everything else that goes into it, but now you've got general managers, some of them coming from the NFL, that are becoming a big part of this. As a matter of fact, when you look at what are they doing, John, what they do is these general managers, they've got to help with the roster. You've got 100, 110 people on the roster you got to deal with. You've got to scan the portal constantly. You've got also this big settlement, John, between the House and the NCAA settlement. $20.5 million is going to be going to schools annually. And there is other monies out there that could be a part of this as well. So it's unbelievable. I don't know if these guys were there, John, but we've got Ron Rivera as the GM of Cal. You've got Andrew Luck at Stanford. Bill Belichick. What was the very first hire Bill Belichick made? It was not another coach. It wasn't an OC or a DC. He went out and got a general manager. I mean, so I think that just says a lot about what's going on in the game today. And I'm not talking basketball. I'm not talking the rest of the sports. These, in many cases, are general managers just for football. And that's how they've designated this whole thing. And that $20.5 million, I guarantee you this, a very large percentage goes to the football program as opposed to the rest of the sports. And so it's really become a big deal, and this revenue share and everything else. But what do you think, John? As a matter of fact, there's a guy at Texas Tech, John, making $1.58 million a year. He has a 3-year contract down there, James Blanchard. So gives you a little idea how important they feel like this is, because they're willing to pay that kind of money.
Well, sooner or later, Pete, you're going to get one of those jobs, I bet. And the fact that they're $850,000, I'm not saying that's the average, because there are a heck of a lot of football programs, but if you just took the D1 and you took the big, the big programs in D1, I guarantee they're all between $500,000 and $1 million right now. Mm-hmm. And like you just said, Pete, some of them are over $1 million. Yep. Alabama, their guy is, I think, $825,000. So, because the coach can't do everything, and they do need. The coach could say, for instance, hey, we got this guy in the portal. He really looks good. We love the way he played at wherever, UCLA. We're going to get him here to take Nico's spot at Tennessee. But after that, after the coach says that, then a general manager is the one that has to allocate and decide, okay, we got this much NIL money, or I might need to go out and get more so we can sign this guy or whatever. I still think, Pete, that eventually it might go towards that 20 mil that you're talking about annually, plus a share of the TV contract and the live gate at the stadium. I mean, some of these stadiums, like Tennessee, like Michigan and Ohio State, are between 100,000 and 110,000 people. You put those guys in there, and you're not talking about a $5 ticket either. You put 110,000 people in a stadium at, let's just say, $30, Pete, it's a real number. The live gate's $3 million plus, and then you've got all the, concessions and parking and all the rest. I think if they start parsing some of that into the programs, rather than just going to deep-pocketed guys that are willing to back it, it would be a little more fair. But we all know not everybody has 110,000 seats. Right. So it's got to be a combination of things to make it a little more fair.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and I think it's a neat item. They need these general managers to take some of the pressure off of the head coach, and a lot of these head coaches, the first guy they have to go to, John, is the general manager, not the AD. They got to go to the general manager if they have an issue about whatever it is. So there's a lot changing in college sports as we speak. By the way, NFL. Quietly, and I know that we always are looking at various things, different things or whatever, but I've been watching the Dallas Cowboys, and I find it really interesting because there's so much negativity that always gets thrown at Jerry Jones and all the rest of this stuff. And I'm not one of those guys. I have never been one of the guys who attacks Jerry Jones for what he does. The guy actually is probably one of the very few owners who ever played football. And so I you know what? I respect what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. And I think they've done some stuff in the offseason, John. How about if I give you this? So they got a brand new head coach in Brian Schottenheimer, right? Now, he's been part of the Dallas organization, but he's going to be the head coach now. They obviously got rid of the previous coach after a couple of years of that, and they expected more, and they couldn't get there. Who do they got at quarterback? They got the quarterback situation just fine with Dak. Dak is the guy that they're happy with. Obviously, he didn't get to play every game last year. He had some injuries and this, that. But what they've done personnel-wise, when you look at what they did in the draft, John, they did everything that you should do, I think, if you're a team that's going in the right direction. Offensive line, edge rusher, linebacker, and quarterback. That was what basically, it's almost in order who they picked in the first few picks that they had. So I think that they're doing on the right direction there. CeeDee Lamb is a great wide receiver. But when you've got a great wide receiver, sometimes you need somebody on the other side. George Pickens, they just signed out of Pittsburgh. And that guy is a freak show. He's an unbelievable athlete, great guy, probably wanted a little bit more money, and the Cowboys were willing to do it. They made that deal. And I'll tell you, you start looking at what the Cowboys have done in free agency, the draft, and now again with essentially a free agency, a trade. I think the Dallas Cowboys have done a lot more in the offseason than a lot of people really recognize, because it wasn't a huge, colorful draft for them. They went for an offensive lineman. People don't always know anything about the offensive lineman, right? They got a big, huge son of a gun out of Alabama, John, that'll probably be there for the next 10 or 12 years. So I think they did the right thing there. They went with the edge rusher, like I say, and cornerbacks, linebackers. I think these guys have put themselves into a really, really good position, and just figured I'd bounce it off you. Do you think that I'm overreading this right now for the Dallas Cowboys? I like where they are.
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say this, Pete. I was going through that roster today. There are only three players that played for Jason Garrett. He left the team in 2019. So in other words, they have made a real move toward youth. And we know Micah Parsons is great. We know CeeDee Lamb is great. And, by the way, like you said, having two edge rushers, because Micah Parsons is on one side and he can play the middle too. Yeah. But, obviously he loves to come off the edge, and having two of those guys is a nightmare for teams that they face. And you're right about Pickens too, Pete. But the fact that, here it is 2025, and the last coach prior to, 2 coaches ago, Jason Garrett, left in 2019. Only 3 players played for him. So the rest of these guys, for the most part, including free agents, are really, really young. Mm-hmm. So that bodes well for what they're building for the future, and putting a few people, like you said, Pickens in there is going to be, real key to them, I think, turning this thing around. Yeah. Because Dallas can't just go, 13-3 or whatever, 11-6 or whatever it might be. They can't just do that over and over again and not make it in and not make it through the playoffs, because those fans, there's a lot of them that haven't been, that weren't born the last time the Cowboys won anything.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah, well, I think Jerry's still actively involved in this whole thing, and I think that they actually have put together a really good squad. Doesn't mean anything yet, because it's early and everybody's got to get together and figure it all out, but I'll tell you what, I think they got a lot of pieces in place right now in Dallas. It looks good.
Cool. Well, we thought we'd address a little bit about Bill Belichick and Jordan, his girlfriend. This
Look
guy,
at the guy. Look at the guy who's going to give it for us.
He's going to break it down for you, folks. So let's give it a listen here on Pete's Red Zone Sports.
Sure.
Well, you can see I've worn this one for a while.
Yeah, you look like
Yeah, absolutely.
So look, you got that lake house in Winnipesaukee. We're the best walleye spots.
Not talking about this.
Respectfully, I'm
We're
not
the best
asking you.
walleye.
I'm asking your grandfather.
I'm asking your grandfather.
And I'm the next pope. Wait, is this your girlfriend?
This is a girl.
Oh, no. Oh, jeez. Wow. Who decided this was a good idea?
Yeah, well, it was a mutual decision.
So you both decided to take this picture.
It was a mutual decision.
Uh-huh.
You know,
I've never been too worried about what everybody else thinks.
Bill, if you're in trouble, just give me a sign. Oh my gosh, that's a smile. More serious than I thought. Bill, listen, I will call the police and report her for you. All eyes are on Lake Winnipesaukee.
I'm not talking about this.
Don't you have homework to do?
that was a good one. Some of them are, okay. That one was damn funny. And I'll tell you what, I'm laughing so hard, John, that my guess is that if I go to a North Carolina game this year, and I planned on doing it, and maybe, I know enough people on the team now and the coaching staff and stuff to maybe hang around with those guys on the field. I think I just lost my field pass.
And that was one of the kinder takes on Jordan and Bill Belichick, because, an awful lot of people think he's almost like a prisoner.
Well, if there is one question you ask, and forget right now about, her, how about the sweatshirt with the kind of torn up in here and stuff? You just kind of wonder sometimes or whatever. But you know what? I'm sure people can look at me and go, well, you're saying a lot. You got this big stupid thing here. You got this or that or whatever. So whatever. You know what? But it's funny. That was damn funny.